So, student, we have covered about the torsion. What is torsion? Then we'll discuss the different elements which are subjected to torsion. Then we have started discussion on fundamental equation of torsion, and we have gone through the connectivity between the applied torque and the polar moment of inertia and shear stress generated, right? And hence we try to connect the applied torque, that is force into radius, then ultimately the shear stress induced, and the cross section, that is dimensions. We have also discussed the equations for the solid shaft and the hollow shaft, right? For the given cross section, the hollow shaft is always going to give you more torque transmitting capacity, as it is clear from the equations, right? Then we were discussing about the various type of shaft. Then we also discussed the difference between spindle and axle. Now let's discuss the design procedure of shaft. How can you find the dimension of shaft? Who is subjected to certain power or maybe the torque, right? Now shaft design is based on three criteria. One is based on strength. Strength here means stress induced. If it is less than the permissible, then you can say the given shaft with the given dimension is okay, right? So that is based on strength. Second option is you can say the based on torsional rigidity and the based on the lateral rigidity. On torsional rigidity, we have to limit the deformation of shaft by angular value, right? In previous case A, where we simply limit the stress induced less than the permissible stress. तो केस ए में क्या कर रहे हैं हम, जो भी स्ट्रेस इंड्यूस होने वाली हैं उसको ट्राई करेंगे कि परमिसिबल लिमिट से कम रहे. सो दैट मीन्स व्हाट, इट इज़ ओनली बेस्ड ऑन स्ट्रेंथ. हाउ मच स्ट्रेस इज इंड्यूस हैज़ टू बी रिमेन लेस देन द परमिसिबल, राइट? But in case of the second option, based on torsional rigidity, where if you consider the shaft, let's say we are turning it, right? So because of turning, there going to be some distortion, right? So this distortion is in terms of, or deflection in terms of angle. So in certain application, let's say spindle, so it's a very crucial component where the slight deformation, angular deformation is permitted, but beyond that it is not permitted. Hence, that design will be considered based on torsional rigidity, where we'll simply focus on the angular deviations, right? So this is the equation for that. And the third category is based on lateral rigidity. Now, what is lateral rigidity? Now, shaft is simply not only carrying the torque, is also supporting the rotating element, right? So because of that, it may bends, right, during rotations. So the maximum permissible deflection is limited. So we try to find the deformation of shaft during torque transmission, right? If it is within the limit, then you can say that design will be based on lateral rigidity, right? But as of now, we are going to focus on the design of shaft based on strength only, right? So we are going to find a dimension of shaft, that is diameter, and you can say based on the torsional shear stress induced in a given shaft material, right? So the first thing is the calculation of torque. तो सबसे पहले क्या आएगा कि you must know based on this equation, let's say this equation, right? This is the equation from which we can find a dimension of shaft. So what we have to know? We have to know the shear stress, we have to know the torque. Now torque is related with the power transmission equations, right? So the first thing comes is find out the find out the torque required, right? So that is possible by using this equation. P is equal to 2 pi nt. So basically it's a P is torque into rotational speed. Okay, so pi W is nothing but 2 pi n by 60. Here n is in terms of RPM, revolution per minute. So to divide minute into second, we are going to divide in 60, right? So this rotation is basically rotation per second. Now this unit of power is watt, right? So that is equal to Newton into meter divided by second, right? So here torque is Newton into meter. This is mandatory, right? So the unit of the power is watt, which is equal to Newton into meter, which is the unit of torque, and divided by second, that is come from the rotation speed, revolution per second. Means in 1 second this much torque is applied to the shaft, or it is transmitting, and total multiplication of torque and the speed will going to give you the power, right? So here you have to remember from this P is equal to power equation P is equal to 2 pi nt by 60, the torque you are going to find, remember, torque you are going to find is always in having unit of Newton into meter, not in millimeter. It is always in Newton meter, right? And angular speed is always in radian per second, that is rotation per second, okay? Now, what is second step there we are going to do? We are going to check the stress induced in the shaft due to various types of load, right? As discussed earlier, if it is pure torsion case, that is the shaft is only transmitting the torque only. It does not carry excessive bending load, right? So in that case, we are going to consider that case as a pure torsion load. In that case, you can consider this equation tau is equal to pi by 16 tau into d raised to cube, right? So this is torque, this is shear stress, right? This is also referred as torsional shear stress to differentiate from normal shear stress. This equation is only for solid shaft. If you use this equation, right? So d raised to do raised to 4, that means outer diameter raised to 4 power and the inner diameter. So this is for hollow shaft. Whenever you use the hollow shaft for power transmission, you have to use this equation. If you are using solid shaft, you have to use this equation, right? The difference is very simple. Torque is nothing but polar moment of inertia into torsional shear stress, right? So polar moment of inertia for solid shaft is different than the circular, or you can say the hollow one, right? Now, if shaft is also carrying the bending load, as discussed in previous case, like this previous chapter, right? So in that case, we do have to consider a design based on bending as well, right? तो bending को भी ध्यान में लेना पड़ेगा. So from the bending equation is very simple. Bending stress is equal to moment divided by section modulus Z, right? So here we can find a dimension from this moment of inertia. So second step is to find a torsional shear stress by using this equation. If the shaft is solid, you have to use equation, and if it is hollow, you have to use this equation, right? But also many a time shaft is also carrying the bending load. In that case, you have to use this equation to find out the dimension of shaft from Z, right? Z is what? Section modulus Z, right? Now here, stress due to axial load is compressive stress, load applied pi by 4d square. If it is tensile load, this is the equation. These are the direct stress equation. If shaft is subjected to, right? But mostly shaft is subjected to torsional shear stress. Now the third point will be if shaft subjected to torque and bending. Now this is a combined case of stresses, right? Let's say a shaft is given to you. It is carrying a very heavy, you can say the gears on it, right? Or you can say the turbine. Now it is rotating, a torque is transmitted, but because of the weight of the turbine itself, it is going to deflect, right? It is going to deflect, or you can say the bend. तो यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है, टॉर्क भी ट्रांसमिट हो रहा है, वो खुद बेंड भी हो रहा है. दैट मीन्स टॉर्शनल shear stress in this direction and the bending stress in this direction. So two types of stresses are acting perpendicular to each other. Now here the question arises, how can we find the dimension of this shaft? Should we consider only bending theory or simply consider the torsional theory, right? So here we have to find out the equivalent torque and equivalent bending moment. So effect of torque on bending and effect of bending and torque. So from this, if it is torque, we are going to compare it pi by 16 d raised to cube into tau, right? But with this, we are going to consider is sigma b into z, right? So from both situation, we are going to find the diameter, two diameter. Whichever higher, that you have to select as an answer, right? Because here the both condition prevailing, one is bending, one is torque, right? So shaft is subjected two type of stresses, bending stresses as well as torsional shear stresses. So we need to find out the equivalent torque and we have to find out equivalent bending moment. So effect of one stress on another. भी इससे क्या हो रहा है, भी टॉर्क भी है, बेंडिंग भी है, तो टॉर्क की वजह से बेंडिंग में कितना प्लस माइनस होगा, या फिर उल्टा बोल दें भी टॉर्क में कितना प्लस माइनस होगा, बेंडिंग भी हो रहा है. तो दोनों तरीकों, दोनों को थियरी को इस्तेमाल करते हुए हमें क्या करना है, वी हैव टू फाइंड आउट द आंसर. वी हैव टू शाफ्ट डायमीटर्स, राइट? सो विच एवर हायर इज योर फाइनल आंसर. यू कैन नॉट चूज द लोअर वन. ओके, नाउ लेट्स ट्राई टू सॉल्व अ प्रॉब्लम. ओके, सो दैट हेल्प अस टू अंडरस्टैंड how the theory works. Okay, so first is determine shaft diameter which transmit load of 60 kilo power, right? Determine the diameter of shaft to transmit 60 kilowatt power at 160 rpm. So here we have given power P, and we have also given the rotation, that is RPM, revolution per 160 revolution per minute, means shaft is rotating 160 times in a minute. Okay, एक मिनट में वो कितनी बार घूम रहा है? 160 टाइम. Now permissible shear stress for the shaft is 64. That means torsional shear is not allowed to exceed by 64 megapascal. If it is crossing it, shaft is considered to be failure one, right? So for this loading situation, that is power we have to transmit is 60 kilowatt at 160 rpm, and shear stress should not cross this value. So what should be the diameter of shaft, right? तो कितना रखना पड़ेगा? So because of that, it is going to give you the power transmitting capacity of 60 kilowatt at this much speed. Still, it is limiting to 64 megapascal, right? So let's find the first stage. So torque transmitted, वो हमें find करना पड़ेगा. So that is come from P is equal to 2 pi nt divided by 60, right? So power is given in kilowatt, 60 kilowatt. So I am going to write 60 into 10 raised to 3 to remove the kilo. Then 2 pi n. N is given how much it is? 160. And the torque we have to find out. Divided by 60. So converting the speed into radian per second. Now the torque is available in terms of Newton per meter. So this second goes over here. So this is the unit of watt. Or Newton per meter is joule divided by second, and joule by second is equal to watt, right? Now let's say what is the torque value? You can calculate using your calculator. It's a very simple solution. So it comes out to be 3583 न्यूटन इंटू मीटर. रिमेंबर मैंने क्या कहा था, यहाँ जो टॉर्क आएगा उसका यूनिट कौन सा रहेगा? एज पर द यूनिट विल बी, एज पर द थियरी इट इज़ गोइंग टू बी न्यूटन इंटू मीटर. इट कैन नॉट बी इंटू न्यूटन इंटू मिलीमीटर. प्लीज रिमेंबर स्टूडेंट्स, मेनी स्टूडेंट्स फेल ओवर हियर. दे सिंपली forget it and put in Newton into millimeter, right? So torque coming from this equation is always in the unit of Newton meter. Okay. Now let's say find out the shaft diameter. So shaft diameter. So here we have to consider torsional failure, torsional shear stress failure. हम उसको consider करेंगे. So now it is a solid diameter. Nothing is mentioned whether it is hollow or right. So we are going to it is solid diameter. So we are considering that the shaft is circular and solid. So we want to find out diameter for that. So here the torque equation is very simple, pi by 16 d raised to cube into shear stress. Now here shear stress limit is given 64. Okay. So let's put the value. Now torque is 3583. So 3583. Here I cannot keep Newton into meter. I have to convert it to Newton into millimeter because I want shaft diameter in millimeter, right? So I multiply by 10 raised to 3. 1 मीटर में कितना होगा मिलीमीटर? 1000, right? Very simple. So that's why I converted into by multiplying 10 raised to 3 is equal to pi by 16. shaft का diameter हमें find करना है. Then the permissible stress is given 64. Now it is in terms of megapascal. So if you 1 megapascal is equal to nothing but it is 1 Newton per millimeter square, right? So on both side, this is also Newton millimeter, this is also millimeter cube, and this is Newton per millimeter square. So this is cancel out. So what we have is Newton to millimeter. On the left side, it is Newton to millimeter. You have to take care equivalence of units, right? You cannot multiply the Newton meter with the megapascal. आपको ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा, वरना आंसर जो आएगा वो बहुत छोटा होगा या फिर बहुत बड़ा होगा, right? So now let's find the answer. So shaft diameter comes out is 65.82 millimeter. So as a safe side, we are going to keep it d as equal to 68 millimeter. If we keep shaft diameter 68 millimeter, we can safely transmit 60 kilowatt power at 160 rpm by keeping the shear stress limited to 64, not more than that, right? So we have to keep 68. If I ask you one question, by mistake manufacturer has taken shaft diameter 60. Will it survive? आई एम आस्किंग यू क्वेश्चंस. अगर हम 60 mm डायमीटर ले लेंगे और इतना पावर ट्रांसमिट करने की कोशिश करेंगे 160 RPM, तो क्या होगा? इज इट सेफ? सो हमें क्या करना है? वेरी सिंपल. टॉर्क इज नोन टू अस 3583 10⁻³ अगेन सेम इक्वेशन आई एम यूजिंग इट हियर, राइट? पाई बाय 16 डायमीटर इज नोन टू अस, दैट इज 60. लेट्स फाइंड अ सी एस स्ट्रेस. तो यहाँ पे क्या होगा? सी एस स्ट्रेस ज़्यादा आएगी बिकॉज डायमीटर इज लेस. So when you divide it, the CS test will be more than 64. So by keeping the dimensions less than the required, it will always result in failure situation. तो यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है? गलती से हमने 60 डायमीटर लिया, 60 लिया और वही पावर ट्रांसमिट करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. So because of that, the induced CS test will be more than the permissible limit of 64, right? So this is what the thinking about the design criteria. Now let's try to solve the second problem. Here, hollow shaft having 240 mm and 320 mm internal and external diameter. So it is clearly given the shaft is hollow having this much dimensions. So inside dimension is 240 and the outside diameter is 320. Okay, and it rotates at 120 RPM. How much? 120 RPM. And it tries to transmit 2000 kilowatt power. So at this value, it is transmitting 2000 kilowatt. यहाँ पे सारी चीज़ें हैं अपने पास. पावर भी है, डायमेंशन भी है, RPM भी है. So what we have to find out? Determine the stresses induced in the shaft. So here we have to find out the torsional shear stress, right? So very simple again. Let's find the first step is find the torque. So let's find the torque. Now torque will come from equation of power. P is equal to 2 pi nt divided by 60, right? So what is given? It is 2000 kilowatt. So 10⁻³ is equal to 2 pi nt. RPM is given 120 and torque, right? Divided by 60. Okay, so please student try to calculate it. The answer will be, it is 159,236. How much it is? 236 Newton into meter. This much torque is transmitting when you transmit the 2000 kilowatt power at 120 RPM. So this is the torque. Now let's second stage is find the torsional shear stress, right? Finding torsional shear stress, right? So for this we are going to use equation torque is equal to pi by 16. Here it is hollow shaft, so we have to use d outer minus d inner raised to power divided by d outer into torsional shear stress passing through the shaft or induced in a shaft. Now let's try to solve this equation. The torque transmitted is 159,236. Now it is in Newton into meter. So let's convert it into Newton into millimeter. So pi by 16. Here we know all the dimensions. That is 320⁴ power. Then what we have is this 240⁴ power divided by 320. Now we don't know shear stress. Shear stress we have to find, right? So shear stress हमें क्या करनी है? Find करनी है. So student try to solve it. This is very simple solution. So use your calculator and find out. So the value is 36.22 megapascal. So at the given loading condition of power of 2000 transmitting capacity, 2000 kilowatt power transmitting capacity at 120 RPM and the given dimension of inner and outer, this much shear stress is induced, right? If you try to transmit more power, that means definitely more shear stress will induce. It's very simple logic. Now let's try to solve another third problem to understand it. Now here a solid shaft is subjected to bending moment, right, of 4 kilonewton. So let me write bending moment is 4 kilonewton meter. and the same shaft is also subjected to torque of 12 kilonewton meter. तो टॉर्क भी दिया है 12 किलो न्यूटन मीटर. Okay. Now the shaft material has ultimate tensile stress of 690. So ultimate tensile stress is 690 and the ultimate shear stress is 516. So ultimate shear stress is 516 megapascal. Determine the shaft of diameter. हमें शाफ्ट का डायमीटर क्या करना है, फाइंड करना है, एंड द फैक्टर ऑफ सेफ्टी इज गिवन इज 6. सो हियर factor of safety is given 6. Now why it is given? Please pay very close attention to the stresses value. Here the value of stresses are given to the of ultimate type. Now just recall the fundamental of design, right? As a mechanical engineer, we are going to design the parts for the limiting value of yield stress, right? We are not going to cross this point, right? This is elastic limit. Okay, so you can say yield limit, right? So whenever there is stress induced, we try to keep it under this value. We are not trying to go beyond this. But here we have given ultimate stress. Ultimate is a maximum material limit or maximum stress which can be induced in a given section, right? So that is not useful in designing. So in designing, we are trying to have a limit value of only at this point, that is yield stress, right? So here factor of safety is CS. Very simple. Factor of safety is ultimate stress divided by what we have is permissible stress. Permissible stress, right? So that's why we have given. So we have to find out the permissible stress and that we have to use in equation. We cannot use ultimate stress equation because that is a maximum value, right? If you consider that your diameter of shaft required is tremendous, we cannot afford to go at that level. We cannot wait that shaft is going to form crack and break in pieces, right? And that is where the ultimate stress comes, right? After that, it is going to break. So we are not designing by keeping ultimate stress in mind. We simply design the component by taking this yield limit, or it is the elastic limit ultimately, right? So the difference between the permissible limit and the division between the maximum stress and the permissible is called factor of safety. This is called factor of safety. So we have given this value and this given. So from these two, we have to find out the permissible stresses, right? So let's find the permissible stress in tension, right? So ultimate stress divided by FOS. So ultimate stress is 690 megapascal and this is 6. So the division value is, student please calculate it, how much it is. I think it is going to be 115 megapascal, right? It is going to be 115 megapascal. Now similarly, we have given the shear stress of ultimate value, but here we want to find out the permissible stress value, right? So the ultimate shear stress divided by FOS. So ultimate is given 516 divided by 6 as a FOS, that is factor of safety. So the answer is, I think 8, okay, 648 and this is okay. So this is going to be 86. So these are the value, permissible stress value that we generally use in numerical, right? We cannot use directly the ultimate value. Now here, shaft is subjected to both kind of loading. One is bending. Bend bhi ho raha hai like this. And it is also transmitting the torque. तो टॉर्क भी ट्रांसमिट कर रहा है और बेंड भी हो रहा है. सो वी हैव टू यूज द कंबाइंड थियरी ऑफ टू स्ट्रेसेस, राइट, एज डिस्कस अर्लियर. लेट मी रिकॉल इट. सो हियर वी हैव टू यूज दिस थियरी when the shaft is subjected to torque and bending. So we need to find out the equivalent torque. Equivalent torque means how much torque is increased because of presence of bending moment. Similarly, we have to find the equivalent bending. That means how much bending is increased due to the presence of torque, right? So from individual theory, from the torque pi by 16 d raised to k, and from the bending, that is bending moment divided by section modulus z is equal to bending stress. So these two theory will going to give two different answer of given shaft. So whichever higher is our final answer, right? So let's find that way. The first is equivalent torque, right, is given by this equation, that is bending moment and the torque transmitted. So here we have given, I think, 4 square plus how much it is, 12, right? Sorry, 12 square. So the answer comes out to be 12.64 kilo Newton into meter. The unit will be of the same that is given in torque and meter, right? Now here, because the equivalent torque is this much, actual torque transmitting given is 12 kilometer, but because of presence of this bending, the more shear stress effect is exaggerated, and hence actually effect comes out to be that we are transmitting equal to 12.6 kilo Newton into meter torque, right? Purely we are applying 12 kilonewton, but because of this bending, the effect says that we are equivalently transmitting this much value of torque rather than purely at 12 kilonewton, right? So we are going to use the torsional shear theory. We are going to use from torsional shear stress theory, the shaft diameter T is equal to pi by 16 d raised to cube into tau. Here the equivalent torque is 12.6 kilonewton. So 12.64 10 raised to 3, and again meter, again we are going to call it 6. Okay, so 3 into 3 6. So this is Newton into millimeter. Now pi by 16 d raised to cube, and now we know the torsional shear stress, that is permissible value is 86, right? So we have to put it 86. We have to use 86. Now from this, let's find the shaft diameter. That is how much it is going to be. Let's take it. It is comes out 92. It is comes out 90 point something. But let's take for safer side. We are taking higher value, a higher even value, that is 92. Okay. Now let's find equivalent bending. So because of torque, they are going to be increase in bending. So equivalent bending moment. Equivalent bending moment. Okay, so we are going to call it BEE. So 1 by half, this is theory, bending moment, and then bending moment square plus MT square. Okay, so here it is 1 by 2. Now bending moment is 4, and I think this is the same part, right? So I am going to directly replace this 12.64 rather than going to recalculate the value. So the final answer is equivalent bending is comes out 8.32 kilo Newton into meter. Now try to observe what happened. The pure bending moment is 4 kilonewton, but simultaneously we are applying the torque. So because of presence of torque, the equivalent bending moment comes out to be 8.3. तो ऐसा हो रहा है कि भाई shaft है is subjected to equally 8.32 kilonewton meter of bending moment rather than the 4 only, right? So this is what the equivalent bending moment. Now from the equations, let's say find from the equations what we have is here. How can we find? Very simple. Bending moment is equal to bending stress into section modulus J, right? If you could not recall, just try to recall the bending theories. Bending moment divided by section modulus Z. We are simply multiplying these two terms. Okay. Now here we have the equivalent torque, that is 8.32 10 raised to 6. That is to make it into Newton into millimeter. Now bending stress, that is tensile stress, which is given to us is that we find out is this one, 115. So we are going to take it 115. Okay. Now what is Z? Here it is shaft. Okay. So for the let's say shaft, we have two axes. One is Y axis and another is X axis. Now Z and J are different. Okay. Here J is used for torque transmitting. It is circular in nature, right? So if you find out the polar moment of inertia, polar section modulus, then it is going to be the same. It is the summation of Ixx plus Iyy in case of G. But this J for zebra is used in bending theory. Here bending is occurred about only one axis, not simultaneous two axes. So here Z we have to take it I by Y. So I is simply pi by 64 d raised to 4, and the maximum bending stress is going to occur at the extreme level. Extreme level means d by 2. So this is the Y. Okay. So here we are going to divide by 2. So it comes out to be pi by 2 32 d raised to cube. Okay, so we are going to write like this, pi by 32 d raised to cube, not pi by 16 d raised to cube, right? So because this is a simply Z, it's a bending theory, right? So bending is only happened about one axis, not the two axis simultaneously, like a torque transmitting, right? So that's why we have pi by 32 d raised to cube. Now from this equation, find out the d value. The d value comes out to be 90.32 millimeter. Okay, but for safer side, we are going to take is d is equal to 92 millimeter. So this is our answer. Now in both situations, by considering the equivalent torque and by considering the equivalent bending, we are getting same answer. But in case if this is happened, shear stress is going to give you, let's say 90, and bending is going to give you 94, then 94 will be your final answer. You have to choose the higher value, right? But here the numerical is so sad that we are getting both the same value. So our final answer is 92, right? So you have to choose whichever larger. Now let's start a new topic called keys. Okay. Now I'm not talking about the software keys or a lock-in keys. Here key means a mechanical element or mild steel element which is inserted between shaft and hub or boss of pulley to connect this together in order to prevent relative motion between them, right? Now why key is basically used? Just look at the figure over here. This is the hub. Now here we are going to insert the shaft, right? So power is transmitting from shaft to the hub and to the other element. But here between shaft and hub, we need some mechanism which prevent relative motions because both have a circular surfaces. When you apply the torque, they are going to slide over it. वो घूमने ही वाले हैं. So we need to prevent it. So that is only possible by using key. So this is the function of key. It simply prevent relative motion between them. So what is them? Then maybe the shaft, that basically shaft and the hub, right? So whenever power is transmitted, let's say this is the electric motor, right? So here we are rotating it. So let's say this is rotating. Now here we have some sprocket or maybe gear or maybe some other element. But it again, the shaft is circular, so definitely the boss hole of other part or pulley is also going to be circular. So there are chances because of dimension difference due to torque transmitting that pulley may slide, may simply rotate, right? So we need to prevent the relative motion, and that is beautifully done by using the key. So key is simply a kind of a mechanical element which is obstructing type, which simply lock down the relative motion between them, right? So it is always inserted parallel to the axis of shaft. It is always inserted parallel to the axis of shaft. Keys are used as a temporary fastenings and are subjected to considerable crushing and shear stress. These two lines define everything, right? कैसे इस्तेमाल होगी और वो क्या करेगी? It is simply used to provide temporary fastening. What is temporary? That means you can disassemble, you can take it out this key, you can have a repairing of shaft or maybe the other joining element, right? So what kind of stresses are generated in keys? They are subjected to considerable, means of certain value, not ignorable, right? So crushing and shearing is the only possibility in key. ट्राई करें, कोशिश करें समझने की. अगर मैं टॉर्क ट्रांसमिट कर रहा हूँ तो आधी की कौन सी है? इट इज सिंपली सीटेड इन द शाफ्ट एंड हाफ ऑफ द लाई इन द हब. सो बिकॉज ऑफ टॉर्क इट ट्रांसमिट इज दिस पार्ट इज सब्जेक्टेड टू क्रशिंग, राइट? It may happen it is shear off from this location. So key is basically subjected to crushing and shearing stresses. Now keyway is a slot or recess, as you can see here. Very simple. Look at over here. It's a simple slot and recess in a shaft. शाफ्ट में हो सकता है, हब में भी हो सकता है. Of the pulley to accommodate की को बैठाने के लिए, उसको जगह देने के लिए ये छोटी सी जो रिसेस है उसको बोलेंगे की वे. यू नीड टू प्रोवाइड, अदरवाइज वो कहाँ से असेंबल होगा, पॉसिबल ही नहीं है, बिकॉज इट इज़ अ मटेरियल, it's a physical material, it needs some volume space to sit down, right? So that slot is referred as keyway. Now there are types of keys, उसके भी क्या है, क्लासिफिकेशन है, टाइप्स है. सो बेसिकली फर्स्ट इज संक की, नाम से ही पता चलेगा उसका क्या मीनिंग है, राइट? सेकेंड इज सैडल की, थर्ड इज टैपर की, एंड फोर्थ इज स्पेशल स्प्लाइन की. लेट्स टॉक अबाउट संक एंड सैडल की. Now again in sunk key we have parallel key, give head key, feather key, woodruff key, right? Again in parallel key we have rectangle section, when we have section, square section, and on a round section. Let's talk about. Now what is sunk key? The first type of classification, sunk key. I'm talking about this one, right? So as a normal definition, a common definition, a sunk key is a in which half of the thickness, try to understand, half of the thickness of the key fits into the keyway. ठीक है, तो कीवे में आधा वो बैठेगा ऑन शाफ्ट एंड द रिमेनिंग हाफ इन द कीवे ऑन द हब. तो दोनों में इक्वली शेयर होगी की, तो इस तरह से है, राइट? सो आधी शाफ्ट में सेट करेंगे और बाकी की जो थिकनेस है वो कहाँ जाएंगी, हब में जाएंगी, राइट? सो दिस इज द एग्जाम्पल ऑफ दैट, राइट? ये रहा एग्जाम्पल, राइट? सो यहाँ पे देखिए थोड़ा सा कट है हब में, और ये शाफ्ट में क्या है, रिसेस है, तो आधी इधर बैठेगी और आधा पोर्शन जो है हब में रहेगा. सो दिस काइंड ऑफ कीज आर रिफर्ड एज संक की, राइट? नाउ देयरफॉर कीवीज आर रिक्वायर्ड ऑन बोथ शाफ्ट एज वेल एज द हब. सो दिस रिक्वायर्ड सम प्रिपरेशन, सो दिस इज डिसएडवांटेज. दोनों में ही कीवे बनानी पड़ेगी, राइट? सो दिस इज समवट disadvantage because it add machining cost. Now there are four types. One is parallel, second is Guildhall key, third is feather key, and woodruff key. So whenever you find some classification, it has some difference from another one, right? So let's say talk about a parallel, Guildhall key, feather key, and woodruff key. All these are sunk key. Here in parallel key have a cross section constant for entire length. What does it mean? If I use square section for the entire length of the key, that section remain constant. It is not tapering, right? If you take the section over here, again it is square of same value, again it is same. So it is constant for the entire length. That's why it is referred as parallel key. Now based on the section, if it is square, it is referred as square sunk key. If it is rectangle, it is referred as rectangle sunk key. If it is circular, it is going to call round key or the round sunk key, right? So based on that, then based on the cross section, the parallel key having the rectangle key referred as square key and round key, right? Now here the rectangle, square, and round key is given to you. Just look at the image so you can understand it, right? Now give head key, which is a special name given, has a head over here. Look at over here. Let me zoom in. So this head that you see over here, right? This head, where it is written taper 1 gem 6, right? So these head are basically provided for easy withdrawal of. वो किसके लिए है, इजी विड्रॉल कर सकते हैं उसके लिए है. सो हैज़ अ हेड ऑन वन ऑफ द साइड फॉर इजी विड्रॉल एंड हैज़ सुटेबल टेपर अलोंग. तो ये की में क्या है, एंटायर लेंथ है, एक सेक्शन की नहीं होगी, इट इज़ गोइंग टू हैविंग रिड्यूस इन सेक्शन, राइट? उसकी थिकनेस कम होती जाएगी. दिस इंट्रोड्यूस वेज इफेक्ट, that is called wedging effect. So because of that, by hammering the give head key, you can have a more tight connection or more fastening action between the hub and the shaft, right? So this give head is help you to take it out. Now where it is used for heavy power transmission. Whenever you see that the pulleys and gears and the shaft are of higher size and transmitting higher value, at that time you cannot use small key, you have to use this kind of taper key, that is referred as give head key, which is going to sustain more power transmitting capacity. Now third type is feather key. A feather key is parallel key in which is fixed either to shaft or to hub. ये समझने की कोशिश करें भाई की जो है या फिर शाफ्ट में फिक्स होगी या फिर हब में. सो इन दिस फिगर इट इज फिक्स इन शाफ्ट by screwing it, right? By screwing it. And how it is different? It permits relative axial movement between them. So this is very desirable where you want to have a translatory motion, rotating and translated motion of the opposite component. ये यहाँ भी घूमेगा, इसको हम साइड में भी कर सकते हैं. Why? Because the key is fixed on one of the element. It is not going to move, right? But the opponent part is going to slide on it. Simultaneously is also transmitting the torque. So whenever such requirement is there, you have to use such kind of key. Basically, if you look at the portable drilling machine, you'll find it, right? Just try to observe it. Or even in portable drilling machine, the splines are used, right? Now the fourth is Woodruff key. A Woodruff key is a sunk key in the form of an almost semicircular disc of uniform thickness. The question comes in mind, why? Now just look at it. When you have a very limited space, I remember the Bajaj scooter. Once I tried to open the engine, right? The top cover, where the carburetor is fixed. At that, I saw this Woodruff key, right? So Woodruff key is having semicircular disc type of shape, and it is very thin. It is having a constant thickness. So whenever you find a limited space, and you want to join the elements, you have to use this kind of key. You cannot use give head key. You cannot use this kind of a parallel key because of limitation of space and the component geometry, right? There you have to use the Woodruff key. Most probably, it is mostly used in automobile segment, automobiles, right? Now, saddle keys. What is saddle keys? This is, you can say, second type of keys. Saddle key is a key which fits in keyway of hub only. See, very specifically written. ये ऐसी की है, वो कहाँ फिट होती है? हब में ही फिट होती है. It is only fits in hub, right? So just look at the figure. It simply fits in hub. So this is the hub portion. Okay. Why? In this case, there is no keyway on the shaft. This is the advantage, right? So this is an advantage compared to sunk key. Now, then how it is going to provide torque transmitting? How it is going to prevent the relative motions? So friction between the shaft, key and hub prevents relative motion between the shaft and the hub. वो इस तरह से बनाई हुई और फिट की गई है कि because of the compressions and the friction between the surfaces, that is going to provide the locking action. Okay, so the power is transmitted by means of friction only. This is where happened, right? It is not like the half part is in the shaft and half part in the hub, where the mechanical material itself is going to prevent the relative motion. But here in saddle key, it is completely lied in the hub, right? So here only because of the friction between two surfaces, the power is transmitted. Now, therefore, the saddle keys are suitable for light duty. Just simple to understand. Because it is working on friction, you cannot apply a very high power, right? So it is limited to low power transmitting applications, right? Compared to the sunk key. Now, hollow key and flat saddle key. These are the two types of saddle key. Just look at over here, right? Hollow key and saddle key. Hollow and flat key. So what's the difference here? A hollow saddle key has a concave surface at the bottom to match the circular surface of shaft. So this is the first case. The first figure is an example of hollow saddle key. And the second is an example of flat saddle key. Now, flat saddle key has a flat surface at the bottom and it sits on the flat surface of the machine shaft, right? It simply sits on a machine shaft, okay? So this is the difference. So if you want to have a higher geometry of a very sharp curvature, in that case you have to use either of the situations, right? Either of the keys, right? आपको क्या करना है? hollow की लेनी है कि flat की लेनी है? Depends करेगा कि shaft का diameter कितना है और power transmission capacity कितनी है, right? अगर बहुत छोटी है तो you have to use this one. और shaft diameter बड़ा है तो you can use the flat surfaces, right? Now the taper key and spline key. Now this is the third types and this is the fourth type. Now taper key basically inserted perpendicular to the axis of shaft. Okay, it is like a pin, right? Just look at the figure. So this is referred as taper key. It is very easy to insert and remove. Okay, now it again limited to for low power transmission applications. Now let's talk about the special case of key referred as splines. Okay, just look at the figure first, and then let's discuss. Now this part is differential gear. Okay, so what it does, it simply allows you to rotate these two wheels at different speed when the vehicle is turning, right? Now this shaft is called propeller shaft, as I already I was discussing in morning session, right? So this part is similar to what is given over here. So this is splines. So splines are the key which are made integral with the shaft. देखिए ध्यान से सुनने की कोशिश करें. ये जो कटआउट है, it's an integral part of shaft. It is not separately attached, right? So spline keys are the keys which are made integral with the shaft. They are used when there is a relative axial movement between shaft and hub is required. I repeat, axial movement, right? So whenever there is a up and down ride of a vehicle, so chances are there this whole assembly along with the tires, wheels and the leaf spring and the differential gear is going to move up and down. If you do not provide the linear flexibility, तो ये पीछे वाला हिस्सा है टूट जाएगा. So to allow to move it up and down freely, we have to provide a joint which permit the relative motions, right? Relative axial motions. Along with that, it is also going to transmit the torque. So spline is the only solution where it transmit the torque and simultaneously is allow the linear axial movement, right? So here it satisfies both the situation, both the requirement of vehicle. That is the power transmitting capacity, and second is it is allowing the up and down movement of the wheels that is resulted in axial movement. Okay. Now the gear shifting mechanism in automobile gearbox requires such of construction. Splines, yes, this is also an example, right? अगर आप gear जो shift करते हैं तो वहाँ पे एक शाफ्ट पे 2-3 गियर होते हैं. तो when you shift this gear, so this gear is moving left and right, so it is shifting on these kind of a slots which is referred as splines. So splines are cut on a shaft by milling and on the hub by broaching operations. So this is the, you can say, the interview questions. How can you produce a spline? So very simple. If it is hub, you have to use the broaching tool because it's an internal matter, right? Internal machining matter. Sorry. So it's an internal machining matter. So we have to use that part. Okay. And if you're talking about the outer side, then you have to use the milling operations to carry out it.